it's almost as if the all-seeing eye above us is looking down and gloating as it shuts Trump off right as he says they're throwing around the word nuclear like candy. And here you go, two guys who eat way too much candy throwing around the word nuclear. This is a video from Glenn Beck's show titled, "Would World Leaders Actually Consider Nuclear War?" in all caps. Boy, you know, at 11 minutes and 52 seconds long, I don't get the feeling, as many of you, I'm sure, also refuse to believe, that this is just going to be a way for him to fucking sell prepper food. Why would I think that?
Something last night. I saw this alert last night, and I thought
that they're funding.
Hold on.
And I listened to something I haven't listened to since I was a kid.
Your parents' advice?
Listen to this. This is produced for schools.
We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it.
That's right. So if someone comes along trying to lure you into a van with a piece of nuclear fuel, don't do it, kids. He might seem like a friendly clown with his own construction business on the south side of Chicago, but it only takes one nuclear blast to realize that you've ended up in a crawl space.
Just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all.
Look at that, 1951 unsegregated classrooms. Look at that. The government's putting out videos in 1951 with mixed kids. And you assholes think you invented all this stuff. Way to go, 1951. Way to give it that old college try.
All the time. Fire is a danger.
Oh, yes.
It can burn whole buildings if someone is careless. But we are ready for fires. We have a fine fire department to put out the fire. And you have fire drills in your school so you know what to do.
First of all, that fucking fire truck is ballin'. Look at that thing.
Put out the fire. And you have
That's
fire
amazing.
drills in your school.
That's gorgeous. Can electric car companies, can you guys just start making cars that look like that era again, but just make them with crumple zones and and all the synthetic parts? They don't have to be all fucking, made out of like melted down rail line pegs or shit like that, right? Look at this. That's cool as shit. That's amazing.
So you know what to do.
Oh, I'll know what to do.
Automobiles can be dangerous too. They sometimes cause bad accidents, but we are ready. We have.
Rarely do the cars cause the accident. Occasionally, a blown out tire will drag you into traffic. That's always a big fear. As a matter of fact, some of you may know that I witnessed an accident when I was walking to the store to buy ingredients to make cookies for a friend of mine. His mom and his sister were making cookies for a Girl Scout troop, and they needed stuff. So I said, I'll walk to the store and get them for you. And while I was walking to the store, a guy was driving down Willow Road in Chicago, in the suburbs, and his left front tire went out, and he went right into oncoming traffic and hit another car head on. It was really horrifying. And I remember very distinctly that I ran in 3 directions before I chose one. I literally did like a Mr. Bean, like where do I go? Where do I go? Because I was out in the middle of I was off the road on the sidewalk, which was away from it. And the side of the car squunched up. You guys don't need to hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Side of the car squunched up and sliced it. I guess his arm was like this, and it sliced his arm off. Like that. Just took his arm off. And I remember being just so bizarrely shocked at what I was seeing. And the dude in the other car was like dazed, and it took him a minute because he I can't remember if he had because I was so focused on the arm that I couldn't remember if he had an airbag or something like that, but he was he was fine. He started he was getting out of the car, and I ran over to the car and was like looking at the guy, and he was like this, and you could see his chest moving, but his arm was kind of like stuck in the metal. You could see it. It was weird because the front of it was like twisted. And I remember I instinctively, it was very weird, picked his arm up and put it on the hood of the car. I don't know why. Get it out of the street, I guess. I was in high school. And I ran. There was a house right behind me. So I just turned around and I ran. I booked to the house and I'm banging on the door like crazy. I'm like, like just trying to get somebody to call 911 or something. This is pre-cell phones, kids. This is in the 80s. It was 86, 87, something like that. And I'm banging on the door. And there was a girl who was home from school sick or something. She was by herself there. And I will never forget. She was walking down the stairs holding one of like those big, super clunky cordless phones. And she just been on the phone. And she went, "Keep your pants on." That was her response. And to this day, that, like, when I hear "keep your pants on" with something, like, I remember all of that at once. That's a true story. Keep your pants on. And I remember also in the absurdity and the scariness and the weirdness of that entire situation, that phrase seemed really out of place. You know what I mean? Like, it stood out so much. And I was like, "There's been an accident. Guys who got his arm cut off. He's probably dying. He's bleeding to death. I'm going to go up there and try to take care of it. Call 911. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she goes, "I got to go." And she hangs up. She did not tell the person on the phone to keep their pants on. But she hangs up immediately, calls 911. Now, the fire department where we were was less than probably a mile and a half away. So they were there, like, as I ran back up to the road, because I was like, I turned around, I was like, okay, they're coming. So I'm looking at this way, and I could already hear the siren. So I'm sure I wasn't the only person that had called for the, run to do, but to get 911 and get the fire department and whatever. Anyways, they were like just sirens. And it might have just been that I heard the sirens initially, but they were literally like, you could see the firehouse. If you were standing on that girl's porch, you could see the firehouse from where I was. And they rolled up on this thing and it jumped out, and they were like, they reached in there and they were like squeezing this guy's arm to hold it before they like used the jaws of life to pull it. And they were having to put pressure on this because he had a severed artery, had to be in there, like horrifying. And yeah, full alarm, right? Just everybody all at once. And I walked up there and I was like, "I saw it. He had a flat tire." And they're like, "Get the fuck out of the way." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go get the cookie stuff." And I just walked to the grocery store, just kind of in a weird daze. And I bought like flour and chocolate chips and milk and I had it in a bag, and I walked back by. And there were police there. The guy's other car had been pulled off and stuff. And I don't know how long it kind of took me to walk all the way down there and walk all the way back. But I remember going like, holy shit, they've cleared this stuff out of the way quickly. I mean, they clawed that thing open, got him the fuck out and drove away. And then they basically just towed the car first. That was the first thing. And then the other dude's car was sitting on the side of the road, and he was being interviewed by the police. And I walked up and I was like, I was here when it happened. And they go, "Did you see it? The actual, the moment that it happened?" And I went, "Yes, I heard his tire blow. I turned around. I heard a big bang. I turned around just in time to see him, like his car cross the center line and his tire all shredded, go wabada wabada like that and hit." And the guy gave me his card and he said, "Go home. We're cool. We've got everybody's information. If we need you as a witness, we'll call, just call me and check in. You promise?" And I went, "Yes." And he goes, "Because I got to deal with this guy and he's got a concussion or some shit." I was like, "Okay, I just got to get this milk back before it." And so I had eggs too. It was like a cartoon. And so I take it back to my friend Jim's house where his mom and his sister were making cookies. And I sat on a stool and they're like, "You okay?" And I was like, "I saw a guy's arm fall off, a car accident up the street." She goes, "Yeah, we heard sirens. We weren't sure what that was." And I was like, "It was a car accident. This guy's really fucked up. He's probably, I don't know if he's dead now. I don't know. Like, I'm going to go lay down. And I went into Jim's room and passed out on his bed. I was just like, I'm going to try to thud, like just from stress. And I called the cops later and I told them my name and I gave them my home phone number because nobody had a cell phone at that time. And they called me 2 weeks later to say the guy's in a coma, but if he ever comes out, they're gonna possibly, he had a blood alcohol level of whatever, but they don't know if that's determinative of the accident, only in his response, because his tire did blow before it happened. And they know that, so they'll mount it up. And then like 4 months later, they called me and said he's dead. So thanks for your time. I was like, okay. I was at home making dinner for my dad. Because I was the cook at the house. And I was like, I pick up the phone, like, hello? And they're like, hey, this is the Northfield Police Department. Is this Hal Sparks? And I was like, yes, it is. He goes, yeah, so we just wanted to inform you that the case that you were involved in won't be going forward, as the person that possibly would have been charged remained in a coma until he ceased to exist. I think he just said he passed away. So thanks very much they were like, thanks for, being readily available or whatever. It's good on you, kid. He knew I was young. So he was like, I was like 16 going on 17. And he was like, we appreciate your cooperation. That was good of you. And at 7, I was like, yeah, thanks. No problem. And I like hung up the phone and just went back to cooking dinner. And I remember distinctly, like, as I'm pouring the food out, I was making Benihana stir fry. It came in bags, and I would cook my own chicken, and then I would cube it, mix it in. This is fucking rando as hell. I would cube it, mix it in with the vegetables and the sauce that came in the Benihana stir fry. You get the vegetarian stir fry, and then you just add your own protein to it. So I would do shrimp, or I would do chicken. And that's how I'd cook dinner for Dad occasionally, for he and I. And I was ladling it into my dad's. We had these big bowls that we ate out of when we would do that. And I was like, that guy in the car accident? He goes, oh, yeah, I forgot all about that. I went, he's dead. And then we just sat there and ate. It was super fucking weird. So, yes, cars can be dangerous, I guess is my point.
Safety rules that car drivers and people who are walking must...
Yes. Meow. Sorry, this is like the vacillation of this audio is weird.
...obey. Now, we must be ready for a new danger.
Yes.
The atomic bomb.
Right.
First,
yes. Never cross against the light if an atomic bomb is coming.
You have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes.
Yes, you
will.
will.
Hope it never comes, but...
Yes, you'll suddenly feel a generalized warmth, and then your skin, curiously enough, will be about 3 feet over there, followed abruptly by your muscles, your internal organs, and lastly, if the Terminator has any truth to it, your bones.
We must get ready. It looks something like this. There's a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever...
Brighter than anything anyone could have ever thought possible.
...ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways.
Yikes.
It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer. You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could...
I don't know. It feels kind of nice, Ma.
...burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially...
By the way, for those of you that don't know, that's a young Glenn Beck. not him, in the dress.
...where you're not covered. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so...
Well, Stu might.
We have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that her voice doesn't match her face. I'm just noticing this personally.
Close by. In Betty's school.
And by the way, if you'll recall, I grew up with this. We had these metal desks with the wood on top. And basically what they would do is in a nuclear explosion, you would hide under your desk and then it would just melt around you and form an urn. And the wood would buckle and create a handle. And so when they would just walk through and pick up all the dead kids already in urns and little death buckets, and then they would just chuck you into a truck and deal with it later.
They are talking about the atomic bomb tool. Betty is asking,
Teacher, what happens if you want to be blown up by a nuclear bomb?
her teacher, how can we tell when the atomic bomb may explode? And her teacher is explaining that there are two kinds of attack, with warning and without any warning.
So you can't and you don't.
We think that most of the time we will be warned before the bomb explodes. So there will be time for us to get into our homes, schools, or some other safe place.
By the way, that's pretty high tech looking for the 50s. That one right there. Like the other shit looks like rafters on a rotating Lazy Susan. That looks like the technology you'd normally see in the 50s. This stuff looks like, if this was in color, you'd go like, this looks like space ray business.
Our civil defense workers.
Charlie, we got a call coming in right now. Hold on one second. Yeah, I gotta, hold on one second. Charlie, we got an ICBM coming in around 3:30 on the 3:30, approximately, give or take. You know, they're always slow this time of year. Yes, ma'am. No, the atomic bomb will arrive at 3:30 on time, but your baggage has been lost. I'm sorry. It'll come in later. Yes.
And our men in uniform will do everything they can to warn us before
they do have shells like turtles that they wear on their heads.
Enemy planes can bring a bomb near us.
Well, that's a lot of enemy planes. If there's that many enemy planes, I think we have... well, why would you nuke something? You have all that many planes nearby, they would all just fall out of the sky. EMP being what it is. Never mind. It's 50s.
You may be...
if you're playing stickball...
in your school.
Somebody, we don't know who, is going to end up with a bat in their ass. It's just going to happen. That's the force of a nuclear explosion.
Schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast.
Look at these kids all dressed for school, by the way. I'm sorry. I just think you don't have to wear uniforms, but kids should have to wear suits to school.
Always remember, the flash of an atomic bomb can come at any time, no matter.
Great. Good night. Go to sleep. Mom! What? A nuclear bomb can happen at any time. That's true, honey. Now get some sleep. You've got to go to school tomorrow. You're practicing duck and cover.
No matter where you may be.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we dealt with that. And
That's the kind of stuff that I grew up watching in school. You would have an atomic bomb thing. I don't think it was every year, but I remember going home terrified of the bomb. And you notice what they said? The bomb is so strong, it could knock you down. Yeah, kids, it'll also vaporize you.
yeah, they're not talking to the ones that are vaporized by it. And by the way, most of them, a direct hit, even on a major city, isn't going to, the majority of the damage outside the ring of where it was actually hit will be caused by fires and people fleeing the area. So that's why they did this, because obviously the people who've been vaporized aren't going to need to know or remember any of this shit. But if you saw a big flash of light and you got thrown into a field because you were 150 miles away, or at that time 60 miles away, the shock wave itself, the irradiation isn't going to kill you, the blast isn't going to kill you, but the concussion of hitting something behind you is very possibly going to harm you. So if you're one of the lucky ones and you didn't get blown to fucking smithereens, you might want to know what to do. And if you hear anything about this and you're outside, like you hear an air raid siren, but it's going to hit downtown Chicago as opposed to the, north, south, west of the suburbs, something like that, or off the shore of it or any of those other things, like areas wherever they would hit because they think, I don't know, maybe there was a freshwater submarine they were trying to hit. The point is that outside that circle, there's still a lot of damage that can happen. So that's who they're talking to. You don't talk to people who are dead. You talk to anybody who has a chance of living, which is the majority of people, even in that circumstance. Because there weren't that many of them in 1951. There weren't thousands upon thousands. We kind of gave up on it, not because the technique doesn't work for people outside the range. It's just that there's so many of these fucking things, it doesn't matter.
That's another one of the options that the whole duck and cover thing didn't ever cover.
Yeah, he thinks that's funny. Yeah, it doesn't have to because they're already dead, dum-dum.
It is just bizarre that we are sitting here at this time, and I know the heart of the American people. The American people care deeply about the people who are having their lives destroyed over in Ukraine.
Notice how they say that shit. And a lot of times they'll say that, like, there's a lot of atrocious things happening in Ukraine. A lot of people are losing their lives in Ukraine. And, like, without ever really... I mean, we'll see if he goes into the Putin stuff, but a lot of these folks, especially on Newsmax, they do a lot of this, like, it's horrible what's happening over there, which could apply to the Russians getting their ass handed to them. That's terrible. You know what I mean? Like, you could read it either way. Russell Brand does this shit too.
But none of us would say, let's get into a nuclear war. If Russia launched a nuclear missile or dropped a nuclear bomb, even one of the strategic,
tactical,
low yield nuclear bombs,
strategy and tactics are different. It's a tactical nuclear warhead.
Anywhere except in our territory, would you be for a retaliatory strike?
Yes, if they nuked Paris, if they nuked London, if they nuked Berlin, that's not our territory. I mean, technically it's a NATO thing. Let's pick someplace else. If they nuked Dubai, the rest of the world might go, yeah, we're next. We're next. And also, I don't know what he means by our territory. I think he just means the U.S. Yes, but I'm going to go with my original statement. Yes, if they nuked Paris, you bet your ass. Of course we would. Because what do you think? We're not next? If they're willing to nuke a major city, what do you think the options are at this point? And what do you do after that? Obviously not right. Like, we're not talking about like missiles away, hallelujah, bang, just let's just all go. It's going to be more tactical than that. But there's no way we're not hitting all their ICBM sites immediately. And the only missiles we have that have the range and destructive power to take out ICBM sites are nukes. So what the fuck? Nobody wants this, but stop. But what do you mean? They can nuke the rest of the world as long as they don't hit the continental United States, Guam, and Puerto Rico?
Because this is an interesting thing. I think we've always thought of nuclear war like that, right? Nuclear war is big flashes on your home turf and massive city-destroying nuclear weapons.
Right.
And then when they fire those, we retaliate mutually assured destruction, right?
Correct.
That's the standard recipe over many decades.
Right, but now they've introduced piecemeal nuclear war. So do we really give a fuck?
Well, the new world is, of course, they have these strategic nuclear weapons.
Tactical.
That can be used on battlefields.
Everything is strategy. It's a strategy not to nuke something. Strategy and tactical are fucking
fields. It can be used for...
Nobody cares.
For all sorts of different purposes. I mean, certainly... if Russia comes tomorrow and decides, Mariupol is going to be the subject of the first usage of one of these weapons.
Dude, they've already leveled Mariupol except for the steel factory. It wouldn't be that. It would be Kiev. But notice how he's choosing Mariupol because is there anything left there? What are we really defending? A bunch of concrete and 3,500 people? Are we willing to go to war over them nuking 3,500 civilians and soldiers trapped in a steel plant? I mean, I know it's a big deal, but gas prices.
It's going to do a lot of damage there, but that would not be something the United States would advocate a nuclear response to.
If that happened, and let's say Russia hits a NATO country,
they drop one in Poland?
In Poland, would you be for us firing ICBMs?
Yeah, and we would be bound by treaty to respond,
right, but not like that.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I mean, we would do everything we could to stay out of that, I think.
Yeah, we wouldn't use nukes anyways. The majority of it, we would definitely hit them. We'd have hypersonic missiles that are not nukes hit major strategic points inside the country. We don't need nukes. You could like Moabs and bunker busters to take out a lot of the ICBMs, but the ones deep in the country that you have to worry about, or even some of the subs.
I think.
But at least with nuclear weapons.
By the way, Trump wanted to nuke hurricanes. So, do the hurricanes have a case for retaliation? Do they have a NATO-like structure? Is there a tornado? I can't believe I just made that joke. I'm sorry.
With nuclear weapons, we would be in a war with Russia in this circumstance. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Even if you don't like the treaty, even if you don't like NATO.
You don't like... Yeah, if you're one of those people that doesn't like NATO,
it would be hard to imagine the West overlooking a nuclear strike on a native country of any sort.
This is a real clear case, at least to me, I feel. Like the people of the world.
By the way, in case any of this talk is making you nervous, understand no one is. You and I are the only person listening to this. This has 14,000 views, all of them paid for. He's got fewer subscribers than Jimmy Dore does, and less than a fifth of what Russell Brand has, and they spend a shit ton of money on this network. And nobody in power is taking their cues from this dude at all, unlike yours truly. Hi there.
Are so disconnected to the leadership of the world. The leadership of the world, they're not listening to the average person.
I hope not, because some of the average people are boycotting Disney because they think it's run by pedophiles and driving around in Trump trucks. And by the way, taking a poll, most Americans support our support of Ukraine, period, like 81%. So asking the average person, they do actually support it. But how are you going to frame the question on this stupid nuclear, concept that you have? Do you think we should nuke Russia? No. Do you think we should nuke Russia if they nuke someone else? What do you mean? Like Kazakhstan? No, like if they nuke Paris. Yeah. Obviously, we need to fuck them up. I don't know if we need nukes to do that, but they got to go down. You don't get to survive that.
It's all being run by these seemingly group of crazy people.
No, it isn't. Or we'd already be evaporated a long fucking time ago.
And the rest of us are sitting here going, what the hell? Where are we going? What?
That's true whenever Glenn gets into a vehicle, though.
Wait, what's happening?
Yeah, and anytime he walks into a room.
And it seems that, if God forbid something like this happens, I hope someone's around to, write down or tell, I don't know, the poor guy who's just broken his glasses sitting at the library, just wanting to read books because that's
Jesus Christ. That's from a Twilight Zone episode.
All he ever wanted to do, Twilight Zone. I hope somebody is alive to say the average person was not for this. The average person in the world knew this was madness.
Also, what the fuck are you talking about? We're not talking about a preemptive strike on Russia at all. You're talking about how people would respond to Russia nuking another country. And what needs to be written down for the lonely guy with the busted glasses who apparently can't read it afterwards because he was the last person in the world, but all he wanted to do was sit in the library and read, and then he broke his glasses like he couldn't fucking walk around and find some glasses. Jesus Christ. These aren't my prescription. Shit. These aren't my prescription. Shit. Oh, okay. These will work. this is just weird. Like, you're supposed to write down that the rest of the world responded to a nuclear strike by somebody else with a nuclear strike of overwhelming force because of some bizarre hypothetical that these assholes can't even agree on. What city are we talking about? Put your money where your mouth is. Which city are you willing to give Russia to nuke without us doing anything about it? It's so weird. And here it is, nuclear war being thrown around like candy. And of course, here's Glenn Beck under the streaming candy going, ah, rah, rah.
Absolute madness. And in the end, what destroyed us was our leaders. You know, it's just...
What? No, it didn't. In your scenario, Russia preemptively nuked another country, supposedly a NATO country, which we have a treaty with, which they are aware would draw all other NATO countries into. But our leaders got us into this. What the fuck? If only we would just let Russia have Ukraine, kill and rape anyone they want, then, you know, maybe they would leave Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Belarus, and Finland alone. No. Oh no, they moved the tanks there. Oh, they've seized all the stuff that we gave Ukraine, and they're just going to. Oh, they're attacking. Oh, it's Germany now.
It's weird to talk about nuclear strategy because we haven't talked about it since really my generation. It's been a thing that was over. And now we're looking at it again because of Russia.
What? First of all, weren't you guys just like applauding Trump for putting dormers on the nukes?
And I just want to make it really clear. If they blew up New York City, I would expect to go outside and see missiles being launched from us towards Russia.
Where the fuck do you think you live?
I would expect that. And
you'd approve of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I mean, you'd approve of that, right? Right? If they blew up New York, I mean, you'd expect to see it, but you'd be on team retaliate for the total annihilation of 7 million people. Hi, Chip, you cannot. What are you doing, buddy? Come here. Hold on. Chip wants to come up. He wants to learn about nukes. What are you doing, buddy? I will get you a snack in a little bit. I know I'm over time. He's like, it's 5. What are you doing? Hi, buddy. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's a boy. Oh, it's a boy. Oh, it's itchy. Oh, it's an itch. Oh, it's so good. All right. Is that good? Oh, I love you too. Oh. Yeah. Can you give me a minute so I can finish my show and then I'll feed you? Promise? Okay. He didn't want to go anywhere. Okay, here, hang out. Hop down. There you go. He's like, snack now. No, wait. All right. Here we go.
Bad as it is, and the result would be, if they blow up a major new U.S. city, that is why we have these weapons,
right.
And we're at full release almost.
Correct.
Certainly Moscow does not exist.
Right. If
full release. Is that the technical term? Does anybody have their Steve Bannon manual of macho military terms? Can you look that up? Full release.
They blew up, I would think we would retaliate by blowing up Moscow.
Yeah.
You think maybe? You think we'd go with why Moscow? Why not St. Petersburg or some random backwater in Siberia? This is so fucking stupid, by the way. These two dum-dums having this conversation is fucking hysterical.
Not all
Maybe
of them.
not a full release.
Yeah. Not a full release. No, just a. It's not that kind of joint.
Oh, maybe
we would.
It would be on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it, you know. I mean, we're sitting there. We went to 2 20-year-long wars over 2 buildings in New York City, but we'd get together on it or whatever. I mean, maybe a phone tree.
The thing that if they bombed, let's say, Warsaw, an attack on one is an attack on all of us. But I would then hope that the United States would open all those missile doors, put us on DEFCON 1, and then call up Russia and say, "What the hell are you thinking?"
Yeah, just call them up. What are you thinking? What? Step down, young man. What are you thinking? You have all right. Thank you, Fluffy Cat. Oh my gosh. Lived that. And Luis says $5 for Hamburg. Thanks for the super chats, by the way, guys. I hope I have a chance to spend them before the world is destroyed. Wes Webb says, long shot Louis, $2 if message included. Oh, thanks. Deb B, thank you so much. All Power, thank you so much. Al Powers, beg your pardon. Deborah Regan, thank you so much. I will keep it up. Fluffy Cat, thank you so much for the super chat. Midas Lisa, who became a member over at Stuttering John's show today, I think, if I saw that correctly. Lovely of you to do that. Brian, why does the app censor? I don't know that it does. Which app are we talking about? Oh, Truth Social. Oh yeah, it's censorship social. It's hilarious. Happy birthday, Anthony. I said that earlier. I missed that one. Laura, thank you so much. Will you be covering the Trump rally on Saturday, awaiting My Pillow announcement in Ontario? Yes, I will on Saturday for sure, no question. And also, I haven't seen anything of the My Pillow shit. CSL, if you see it, let me know. But I know what they did. They basically filed these injunctions. It's a jerk off. Like there'll probably be footage of him tomorrow at some fucking rando courthouse steps going, today we dropped off we're doing this, we're dropping off our, because they're destroying our country. Right. Anyways, back to Armageddon spankings.
And we would be at war, but let's hope that it wouldn't go to nuclear war. I mean, I would expect.
Asshole, it's already at nuclear war if they nuked Warsaw. Again, this whole America First thing, TM, it drives me nuts.
That if we launched missiles in retaliation, they're going to launch missiles at us. You know?
Yeah. You think anybody knows that? You know what? You should call the Pentagon. You should make them aware of that. So they include it in their decision making. Like this fucker. He's playing a video from 1951, and then he's acting like all these scenarios aren't constantly thought about by an entire quarter of the DOD.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
And so it's just, then it gets into MAD, mutually assured destruction.
And of course, this world where Russia has decided to blow up a major city in Poland, is
a major city.
NATO country, is a world that's so crazy that this is going to escalate to that point almost immediately anyway. I mean, if...
Yeah, I'm like, it'll be considered, but considered immediately. Like, fuck those guys, bang!
If there's this idea that Vladimir Putin wants strategic goals in Ukraine, and he's trying to take what he wants and believes is his, and...
Is that a thought? Is that... Oh, no, that's what he actually fucking said.
And rebuild Mother Russia and all that jazz. But
and all that jazz.
The other idea is, this guy is a psychopath, and whatever has changed in him over the past few years,
Pervitin,
is a change that makes him completely unpredictable. I mean, we would be delusional to believe that it stops at a nuclear weapon hitting a NATO country.
Ding, 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 Stu with the win, stumbling on the reality that Glenn can't fucking process. If we're in a position where Russia has decided to nuke Warsaw, they're already at full commitment. There is no salami slice nuclear war strategy.
Poland. Like... If this guy is that crazy, there is no containing Vladimir Putin. I don't think he's going to do that, but you have to look at his actions.
Does anybody get a real ESPN vibe from this bullshit? Like they're talking about sports teams? Like the things they're discussing don't involve the evisceration of hundreds of millions of human lives, and it's just kind of like, well, we'll see. Friday's the game. We'll see.
Where he is now multiple times bringing this up. He is the aggressor here. You have to worry about how far he's willing to take this.
So we know that the leadership in Iran, they've just said, just recently, that they will now launch a nuclear missile and destroy Israel. burn in the fires
Yeah.
of the Islamic fury.
And we've always taken that seriously. At least we have.
Do we respond to that?
We are. We're trying to negotiate them back into a treaty where they weren't producing a missile. Hold on one second. Hi, buddy. Are you just looking into your own reflection in the side of the computer glass, silly? Yes, you are. Yes, hold on. Let's see. Iran threatens. Let's see what they're referring to. Israel. I mean, they do it all the time. 3 days ago. Now, who thinks that they're saying that Iran is saying that they're going to nuke Israel sight unseen? Fuck it. We gotta. This 3 days ago. This is what he's talking about. Does anybody think it's not the whole story? Anybody at all? Anybody? One of the. Iran threatens to strike Israel over, quote, slightest move. Iranian president says armed forces would retaliate strongly if Iran's security is threatened by Israel. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi on Monday threatened to strike at the heart of Israel if Tel Aviv makes the slightest move against Tehran, the capital. I guess they're allowed to bomb anywhere else. I guess they have their own stew and Glenn Beck arguing these points. Speaking at a military parade marking the National Army Day, said if Iran's security is threatened by arch foe Israel, its armed forces would retaliate strongly, very strongly, like no one has ever seen. Our message to Israel is that you seek normalization of ties with countries in the region. You must know that even your slightest movements are not hidden from our intelligence, security, and military. And you must know that if you make the slightest move against Iran, the destination of Iran's armed forces will be at the heart of Israel. During the ceremony, the Iranian military displayed a range of homegrown weapons, drones, and defense systems that paraded on the outskirts of Tehran, all of which suck and can be shot out of the air, whatever. The Kaman 22, a long-range strategic drone belonging to Iran's Air Force, which is capable of carrying different kinds of cargo with a flight duration of 24 hours, was displayed for the first time. According to the military officials, it has an operational range of more than 3,000 kilometers and capable of flying up to 8,000 meters in air. A series of fighter jets. They said about self-reliance under pressure from U.S. sanctions said it's in the best condition today. This year's National Army Day parade came weeks after the IRGC claimed responsibility for an attack of what it claimed was an Israeli strategic center in Erbil in northern Iraq's Kurdish region. That's the bombs near the base they were talking about because Israel was set up nearby. That's what they were allegedly attacking. The attack, which involved a dozen ballistic missiles, came in the response to the killing of 2 IRGC members in Israel. In an Israeli airstrike on the outskirts of the Syrian capital, Damascus. Last week, Raisi told visiting Iraqi Foreign Minister Fawad Hussein that Iran was closely watching the actions of Israel and will not allow them to endanger the security of the region. Israel was blamed for a series of sabotage attacks at Iran's key nuclear facilities and the killing of a number of leading Iranian nuclear scientists. This is what they've been arguing about for a long time. Just in case you think what Iran is saying is that they're just going to, as soon as they get a nuke, it's flying. That's what these assholes want you to think.
We don't,
and that we're okay with that. And that we're somehow helping with that.
We don't respond with nuclear weapons, right? Look, there's a little secret that Israel might be able to do that on their own.
Yeah.
That's just a rumor,
keep using that word.
Again, what the fuck? He likes using that quote. You keep using that quote, and I do not think it means what you think it means.
Secret.
But I wish we would do more of the Israel nuclear treatment thing with what we're doing in Ukraine.
I know.
We just had Joe Biden while we were talking. It was on television saying we're putting $800 million of weapons into Ukraine to, obviously, what do you do with these weapons? Kill Russian troops who did invade Ukraine.
Right. Inside Ukraine. None of those weapons will be used to kill Russians who aren't in Ukraine. You know how you avoid getting killed by U.S. weapons held by Ukrainians defending their own country? Get the fuck out of Ukraine.
Believe me, they deserve to be fired at by Ukraine.
Fired at? What are you making them? Skedaddle! Get off my porch! What are you doing here, hornswoggling? You're trying to steal my hens.
But we're telling everyone what we're doing.
Yes, we are. Because we want Russia to know they have the backing of the entire Western world. Give or take a couple of dipshits.
Israel, I think even at this moment, officially does not have nuclear weapons.
Right. They
Officially.
don't. Yeah.
Now, they do have nuclear weapons,
Right.
breaking news, but officially they don't.
We're not only telling them what.
And Iran doesn't have them officially at all, for real. But that hasn't stopped Glenn and other folks like him from suggesting that perhaps Iran should just preemptively nuke Iran because they basically got them anyways. You know, like Iraq had yellow cake.
What we're sending. We're also telling them where we're sending it.
Yeah.
And we're telling them that, oh, by the way, Ukrainian troops are going to cross the border into Poland and our special forces are going to be there and we're going to train
We're going to train them.
We're going to train them.
We're announcing
Yes, we're announcing every aspect of this with the very important distinction that we're training some of these folks and they're going to get some of our training, but they're fighting this on their own because they don't want the messaging to be turned on by the Russians. Hold on. That the Russians can turn on, and say they say it anyways, but they wouldn't have footage of it where we're fighting Americans, we're fighting Germans, we're fighting Polish citizens, we're not fighting the Finnish are down here, the Swedish, everybody's ganging up on Mother Russia. Without that, they're just getting their ass kicked by Ukrainians, trained by whoever the fuck. Meanwhile, the Russians can use the Wagner group all they fucking want, these mercenaries and Chechens who, the ones that are basically like the monsters that Trump is always warning are being released from prisons all over the world across our southern border are very much the actual character of the Chechen soldiers that Russia is using over there and paying more than they pay the Russian-born soldiers. But they're getting their ass handed to them by the Ukrainians. Now we're giving them weapons. But the Russians are giving the Chechens weapons to fight the Ukrainians. They're getting Syrian mercenaries. They're giving shit to the Wagner group. They're giving them air support. They're giving them helicopters. Fuck is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. The only people physically fighting in this, besides individuals who have come from all over the world who've decided that, they're Ukrainian at this time because they're fighting there, not in coordination with any other country, but just as they decided that the Russians deserve, the business end of their rifle. Those folks are coming of their own free will. The Chechens, the Georgians, the Syrians, the mercenaries. Those are all people Russia is bringing in from other countries to support them. Russia, the Russian military, needs soldiers from other countries to fight their war for them.
Of the weapons we're sending there. Now, look, if you're going to do that, a news broadcast to the world is not a great place to do it.
That's because you guys don't know the difference between tactics and strategy, as you've shown multiple times in this video, and that the strategy is to make Russia and the world constantly aware that the Ukrainians are fighting on their own. And any support they have from other fighters is by those individuals deciding to fight in the country. And even the logistics are done on the other side of a border. You don't cross into the NATO territories because that's an escalation. We're not crossing into their country, bringing stuff in. We're not even trucking shit in. You got to come get it, and then you bring it in yourself. There's a reason why you announce it to the world.
Are you trying to avoid war, or are you trying to?
Yes, they are trying to avoid war. Because if they don't announce that they come into Poland and they're being trained by our special forces and then they're going back, the idea is that the people coming back in aren't Ukrainians, they're Polish soldiers or U.S. special forces going in.
To escalate it. I mean, there's
I just don't understand what policy or what changed their mind from we can't send over a plane to Poland if Polish leave their planes in another country and Ukrainians find those planes and fly them.
Because there's a difference between a MiG and an F-15 or an F-22, you stupid bastard. Our planes are way better than those MiGs, and we're not going to start giving Poland our planes, which they've always wanted, but no, you got to pay for them. We're not lend-leasing them in a bank shot because they're like, we'll give them all our MiGs if you guys give us a bunch of your planes. Like, no, because if any of our planes end up going over the border and some of the other shit that you're doing, they'll have them and they'll reconstruct them. They'll de-engineer them.
We're sending tanks and howitzers over.
Nope. Yes. I'm not letting you drift to the fucking book title. I'm not going to do it. Piss off. You egomaniac. If you had only put the title above your own goddamn name, you'd sell a lot more books. But that's a strategic decision that tactically your publisher probably disagreed with, but you overrode them because you're a huge dum-dum.